Take a close look at the oldest government buildings in almost any major city. San Francisco, Chicago, DC, New York. What do you see? You see massive stone columns that feel heavier than the sky. You see flawless domes that catch the light in ways modern glass boxes just don't. You see engineering that feels way too advanced, way too soulful for its time. We are taught in school that these masterpieces were built in the mid-1800s. We're told they were constructed by people who were battling dysentery, riding in rickety horse-drawn carts, and using nothing but hand chisels and grit. But there is a question that cracks this narrative wide open. How? Think about it. Really think about it. We can't even fix a pothole on the highway in less than 6 months. Even with modern cranes, laser precision, and billion-dollar budgets, we would struggle hard to replicate these structures today. So, how did they do it back then? Without electricity, without computers, without the internet. And this is where the story gets dark. This is where the hair on the back of your neck should start standing up. If you dig into ancient maps and forgotten records, you won't find the history you memorized for the SATs. You will find a massive empire that once covered most of the northern hemisphere. An empire larger than any country we know today. It was called Tartaria. It had its own flag, an owl on a yellow field. It had its own kings, its own culture, and cities that might have been standing long before modern history claims they were built. So, the real mystery, the one that keeps you up at night, is this. How does the largest civilization in recorded history simply vanish from our textbooks? How do you delete an entire world? Stick around, because the evidence is hidden in the streets you walk on every day, and once you see it, you will never look at history the same way again. To understand this puzzle, we have to stop looking at history as a boring timeline we learned in 10th grade and start considering the heartbreaking possibility of a lost empire. We aren't talking about a fantasy land like Narnia. We are talking about a superpower that was acknowledged by world leaders and cartographers for centuries. If you open an Encyclopedia Britannica from 1771, literally the Google of the 18th century, you won't find a bunch of scattered primitive tribes in northern Asia. You will find a distinct, massive country labeled Grand Tartary. It was there. It was real. But somewhere in the 19th century, the narrative shifted. The maps were redrawn. The books were rewritten. It feels like a massive case of gaslighting, doesn't it? This entire old world civilization was quietly categorized as a myth or a misunderstanding. But the physical evidence? It refuses to stay silent. This brings us to the most obvious clue, the one staring us right in the face, the old world architecture. Next time you're downtown, look at the scale of things. Walk through the historic districts. You see these capitol buildings with doorways that are 20 feet high, arches built for titans, ceilings so far up they make you feel dizzy. Why build doors that are 3 times the height of a person? Why build hallways wide enough to drive a bus through? This anomaly has led many researchers to investigate the giants they erased from history. It sounds wild, I know. It sounds like a conspiracy theory your uncle talks about at Thanksgiving. But look at the scale. These structures were built with a grandeur and precision that suggests they weren't just made asterisk by asterisk people with better technology than us, but potentially asterisk for asterisk beings of a different stature. The official story is that these were built by settlers on horseback who were simultaneously fighting off famine, the elements, and wars. Does that actually resonate with you? Or is it more likely that these settlers didn't build these cities? They just found them. This is the core of the theory, and it's honestly kind of tragic. It suggests that our recent ancestors were inheritors, not architects. They moved into the empty shells of a fallen society like squatters in a palace. This would explain how they erased the greatest empire from history. They simply repurposed the ruins, slapped a new date on the cornerstone, and called it modernization. But it wasn't just about big stone blocks. It was about energy. It was about a connection to the earth that we've completely lost. Look at the tops of these old buildings in vintage photographs. Today, we see flagpoles. But before the Great Fires and the renovations of the 1900s, those poles looked like antennas. They had copper domes, intricate metalwork, and spheres. The theory goes that Tartaria, removed from history, wasn't just a political power, it was a technological powerhouse. They utilized the ether. They harvested atmospheric energy. These cities were essentially giant circuit boards, powering themselves wirelessly. It paints a picture of a world where energy was free, clean, and abundant, something we are desperate for right now. This creates a fascinating rabbit hole regarding their transportation. We are told the steam engine was the peak of 1800s tech, but there are oddities in the archives. Researchers are now looking into the mystery of Tartaria's self-powering locomotives. Imagine a train system that didn't rely on burning dirty coal, but ran on the same atmospheric grid as the cities. If this technology existed, clean, free, and efficient, it would be the ultimate threat to the emerging oil and coal barons of the 20th century. To secure a monopoly on energy, to keep us paying the bills, you wouldn't just need to destroy the machines, you'd need to destroy the memory of how they worked. You would have to frame this unexplained history as impossible or pseudo-scientific. So, how did it all end? Why are we living in concrete boxes now instead of marble palaces? You will often hear about the mud flood. It's the idea that a massive soil liquefaction event buried the bottom floors of buildings worldwide. That's why so many basements in older cities have full-sized windows and doors leading directly into dirt. Why would an architect design a window just to bury it? They wouldn't. But this wasn't just a flood of mud. It was a flood of silence. Following this cataclysm, society was reset. The survivors, traumatized and scattered, were given a new narrative. The education system was standardized to teach a specific version of the past, one where we are the pinnacle of evolution, and everything before us was primitive and dirty. This effectively buried the secret history of the old world. When you piece it all together, what we are looking at isn't just a fringe theory. It is an archivist-style documentary of reality that has been edited in the cutting room of time. The maps, the buried windows, the impossible masonry, they are all glitches in the matrix of our history books. We are living in the remnants of a greatness we have been told to ignore. We walk past it every day on our way to get coffee, never realizing that the stones beneath our feet witnessed a world more magical than we can imagine. But the cracks in the story are getting wider. By asking these questions, by refusing to accept the inconsistent dates and the impossible construction methods, we are reclaiming a piece of our collective memory. We are taking the power back. We are practically making a lost civilizations documentary in real time. Just by observing the world around us with open eyes, the truth is out there, hidden in plain sight, waiting for you to notice it. Listen, if your brain is buzzing and you feel that weird sense of, I knew something was off, then you are in the right place. We aren't just reading history here, we're questioning it. If you enjoyed peeling back the layers of the official narrative and you want to be the smartest person at your next dinner party, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps us find more lost empires. And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what we uncover next. Trust me, it only gets weirder from here. This is Dark History.